Welcome to Rare Breed Brotherhood. A man who can walk away quietly is usually the one she'll never forget. Let's be real. Most people don't recognize the value of something until it's no longer there, and that's especially true when it comes to Sigma males. See, Sigma men don't make noise. They're not chasing attention, playing games, or trying to impress anyone. They're intentional, quiet, grounded, and that's exactly why they hit differently when they're gone. A Sigma male doesn't beg to be understood. He doesn't try to prove himself or compete for space. He chooses carefully, loves deeply, and walks away fully if it's not real. He doesn't move out of ego, but from principle. That kind of energy, rare, unshakable. And once you've experienced it, average starts to feel hollow. This video isn't about bashing anyone. It's about clarity. It's about helping Sigma men understand why they're often remembered long after they've left someone's life, even when it didn't feel that way at the time. If you're a Sigma, this is your reminder. You're not cold, you're not too much, you're just not made for shallow connections. And that's a strength, not a flaw. So watch this video all the way through, don't skip it. You're going to hear some brutal truths, yes, but also the deep reasons why you stand out, why you're missed, and why you never needed to beg to begin with. Let's talk about why women regret losing Sigma males, the brutal truth with no fluff. Let's dive in rare breeds. Number 1, he didn't chase her, he chose her. This right here is where most people get it twisted. Sigma males don't chase women, not because they're arrogant or emotionless, but because they're intentional. They don't collect people for ego boosts. They don't play the pick-me game, they move differently. When a Sigma male chooses a woman, it's not out of loneliness, pressure, or some fairy tale fantasy. It's because something about her energy, her values, her mindset clicked with him. It wasn't about her looks or how popular she was. It was about alignment, compatibility, how she moved through life, how she thought, how she carried herself when no one was watching. And that's what makes it hit different when it's over. Because this isn't the kind of man who throws himself at anyone. He doesn't follow trends. He doesn't throw compliments around like candy. He's not that guy who flirts with 10 women and accidentally falls in love. No, he's the guy who quietly watches, pays attention, filters through the noise, and then makes one very deliberate decision: her. When a woman realizes he didn't need her, but still chose her, it hits a nerve. Because deep down, she knows it wasn't convenience, it wasn't timing, it wasn't desperation, it was intent. That kind of man is rare. And when he's gone, she's not just missing attention or affection, she's missing the feeling of being chosen by someone who didn't need to choose anyone. And let's be real. Most women spend their lives being chased by men who don't even know what they want. But the Sigma male? He's different. He knew. He saw her. He picked her. And when she lost him, that wasn't just losing a man. That was losing the one man who could have had anyone, but still picked her. Number 2, he was unapologetically honest, even when it hurt. Let's get one thing straight. Sigma males aren't in the business of telling people what they want to hear. They tell the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it stings, even when it makes them look like the bad guy in the moment. When she was with him, his honesty could feel like a slap in the face. He didn't wrap his words in sugar, didn't say things just to keep the peace, and definitely didn't lie to protect her ego. He told her the truth, raw, unfiltered, straight up. And back then, she hated it sometimes. But now, she gets it. Because the world is full of people who fake smiles, say whatever will keep the drama down, and lie in subtle ways, just to stay liked. She's realizing that most men will feed her lines if it means avoiding conflict or keeping her around. But the Sigma male was different. He was real, even when it cost him. And now she remembers all those times he said what no one else dared to say. You're not being honest with yourself. You say you want the truth, but you punish people for giving it. That excuse you're using, it's just fear dressed up. At the time, those words annoyed her. But now she plays them back in her mind and they land harder than ever. He didn't try to control her. He didn't insult her. He just refused to lie to her. And here's the thing. Honesty might hurt in the moment, but lies? They drag you through confusion, self-doubt, and betrayal for years. Now she's surrounded by polite dishonesty, fake compliments, half-truths, dodged accountability, and it's exhausting. she realizes that the Sigma male's honesty wasn't cruelty, it was clarity. And losing that kind of truth, that's not just a breakup. That's the start of a life where you're no longer sure if anyone means what they say. Number 3. He was the calm in her chaos. There's a certain kind of man who doesn't flinch when emotions run wild. He doesn't yell back, doesn't storm out, doesn't get dragged into emotional whirlpools. That's the Sigma male. When everything felt like it was falling apart, he didn't lose his grip. He became the anchor. She didn't realize it then, but he was the calm she never knew she needed. While she spiraled, overthinking, reacting, drowning in feelings, he stayed solid. He didn't shut down or walk away, he just didn't match her chaos. He stood firm in his own energy, grounded and clear. Most people, when faced with emotional storms, either shut down or explode. But the Sigma? He listens, observes, and responds, not reactively, but intentionally. He doesn't waste energy on drama, not because he doesn't care, but because he knows better. And now that he's gone, the difference is loud. She notices it in the way other men flinch at her emotions or try to fix her feelings just to quiet her down. Some dismiss her, others argue back, but none of them do what he did, hold space without losing themselves. He didn't try to fix her pain. He didn't minimize it. He simply stood there, present and steady, like a mountain in the middle of her storm. And that kind of energy, it's unforgettable, because it's rare to find someone who doesn't get pulled into your chaos, but instead invites you into their calm. Now, she misses the man who didn't panic when she cried, the man who didn't fold when she lashed out, the man who didn't get loud just because she did. She didn't just lose a partner. She lost the one man who could keep his peace even when she was at war with herself. Number 4. He gave her freedom instead of control. Most guys try to secure a woman by putting a leash on her. Rules, boundaries, constant check-ins, low-key jealousy dressed up as love. But the Sigma male, he's not about that life. He doesn't try to own her. He lets her breathe. And strangely enough, that freedom is what made her feel closest to him. He didn't play the insecure boyfriend. He didn't blow up when she wanted space, or guilt her when she needed time alone. Why? Because he didn't operate from fear. He trusted her. Not because she demanded it, but because he trusted himself. He knew who he was, what he brought, and he didn't need to chain someone to him to feel secure. She'd been used to men who smothered her, tried to keep tabs, or subtly pulled the strings to keep her close. But this man, he let her go wherever she wanted. He gave her the room to be herself, and ironically, that made her want to stay. Not out of pressure, but out of respect. But she didn't see the value in that freedom. Until she left. Out in the world again, she thought she'd find the same easy trust, the same quiet confidence. She didn't. Instead, she found men who wanted to mold her, manage her, or monitor her. And suddenly the space the Sigma male gave her started to look like the rarest form of love, freedom without distance. It hits hard when you realize the man who gave you the most space is the one who made you feel the most safe. He never tried to possess her, he just chose her. And now, every time she feels boxed in by someone else's insecurity, she remembers the man who let her fly, and somehow made her never want to leave. Number 5, he wasn't confused, he wasn't interested. Let's be real. Most women are used to emotional confusion. One minute he's all in, the next he's figuring himself out. One day he's texting non-stop, the next he's ghosting with no explanation. It's a constant guessing game, trying to decode half-hearted energy, lukewarm affection, and vague promises. But the Sigma male doesn't play that game. If he was into her, it showed, period. His energy was clear, his presence was consistent, and his words matched his actions. There were no breadcrumbs, no maybe later, no mixed signals. And if he wasn't interested, he didn't fake it. He just quietly disappeared. No drama, no ghosting, just gone. At the time, that kind of directness might have felt too blunt, maybe even cold. But now she sees how rare that kind of emotional honesty really is, because nothing is more draining than trying to make sense of someone who doesn't even know what they want. The Sigma male knew. He didn't waste her time. He didn't drag her through highs and lows. He didn't say, "I miss you," just to keep her around while exploring other options. He was solid, intentional, And if he backed off, it wasn't to play games. It was because he genuinely didn't feel the connection, and he respected them both enough to walk. And now, she's surrounded by men who can't make up their minds. Guys who keep one foot in and one foot out, guys who say one thing but act another, and it's exhausting. She misses the man who didn't confuse her, who didn't keep her guessing, who didn't use mixed signals as a strategy. He wasn't cold, he was clear. And once you experience that level of certainty in someone's energy, it's almost impossible to go back to decoding maybes and emotional crumbs. She didn't just lose a man. She lost the rare peace that comes from knowing exactly where you stand. Number 6. He taught her that attention isn't affection. At first, she thought he didn't care enough. He wasn't blowing up her phone all day. He didn't comment on every selfie or leave a trail of fire emojis like the rest. He wasn't obsessed with constant updates or checking in just to stay on her mind. To her, that felt distant, too quiet. But what she didn't understand then is this: attention isn't affection, and the Sigma male knew that. While most men throw attention around like candy, hoping it earns them affection in return, the Sigma male moves differently. He doesn't do cheap dopamine hits. He doesn't smother with forced compliments or fake intimacy. When he gives you his time, it means something. When he's there, he's fully there. Not for show, not for validation, but because he chooses to be. He didn't flood her phone. He showed up when it mattered. He didn't compliment her just to stay relevant. He told her the truth when it meant something. He didn't need to be seen. He needed to be real. At the time, she mistook his stillness for disinterest, but now she sees how much presence he actually had. He noticed details others missed. He remembered things she said in passing. He showed love in moments, not in constant noise. Now she's surrounded by men who shower her with attention, and it feels empty. It's performative, loud but hollow. She starts to see that constant validation is not the same as genuine connection. The Sigma didn't give her attention, he gave her depth. And now that he's gone, she realizes the loudest guys weren't the ones who cared most. The most consistent texter wasn't the most emotionally present, and the one who made her feel the most seen was the one who didn't need to flood her with attention to prove it. She lost the man who taught her. Real affection is quiet, but it's unforgettable. Number 7. He wasn't her fan. He was her equal. In a world where many men think impressing a woman means worshipping her, the Sigma male stood out by doing the exact opposite. He didn't place her on a pedestal. He didn't clap for everything she said just to stay on her good side. He didn't chase her shadow, hoping to be noticed. He looked her in the eye, not up, not down, straight across, as an equal. At first, that felt strange, almost cold. She was used to guys who showered her with compliments, agreed with everything she said, and praised her like she could do no wrong. But here was a man who challenged her, questioned her, refused to play the fanboy, not because he didn't like her, but because he respected her. He knew the difference between admiration and obsession. He could appreciate her beauty, intelligence, and presence, but he didn't shrink himself just to be near her. He brought his own value to the table. He didn't try to win her by flattery. He invited her into something real. That kind of presence can be uncomfortable at first, because it requires growth. It forces honesty. It strips away the fantasy and says, let's meet here, in truth. Now that he's gone, she finds herself surrounded by men who say yes to everything. Men who perform affection but have no backbone. Men who worship her until they don't get what they want. And suddenly, she misses that rare, quiet power the Sigma held. The calm strength, the balance, the sense that she wasn't being idolized. She was being seen fully. He didn't follow her, he walked with her. And now she sees being worshipped is flattering. Being understood, that's rare. And being treated as an equal, not a fantasy, that's the kind of love that leaves a mark. Number 8. He had nothing to prove and everything to protect. The Sigma male isn't flashy. He's not out here trying to impress anyone. He doesn't list his achievements like bullet points on a resume, and he doesn't perform emotional tricks just to win someone's affection. Why? because he knows exactly who he is, and he's not in the business of begging to be seen. He didn't come into her life with loud declarations or over-the-top gestures. He came in quiet, grounded, observant. She might have mistaken that for emotional distance, but what she missed at the time was that he wasn't guarding himself out of fear. He was protecting something valuable, his peace, his energy, his inner world. He wasn't closed off, he was selective. And that's a big difference. While most guys are out there trying to prove they're the one, constantly selling themselves, the Sigma male simply lives his truth. If someone doesn't see it, he doesn't argue, he doesn't chase, he walks. Not out of pride, but because he knows not everyone deserves access. And now, with him gone, she's starting to understand that. She's meeting men who overshare too fast, love bomb, overpromise, and then fold under pressure. Men who want to show off more than they want to show up. But the Sigma was different. He didn't need the spotlight. He was the light, and he carried it carefully. She used to think he was too private, too hard to read. Now she sees he was just intentional. He wasn't putting up walls. He was setting boundaries. And once you've felt what it's like to be around a man who has nothing to prove, but everything to protect, you start realizing how rare that is. She didn't lose a showman. She lost a fortress. And that quiet strength, it doesn't come around often. Number 9. He showed love in practical ways, not grand gestures. Forget the flashy dates, surprise bouquets, or dramatic declarations that movies sell you. The Sigma male's love language isn't about performance or grand displays. It's quieter, sturdier, and much more real. He didn't try to sweep her off her feet with extravagant gifts or attention-grabbing surprises. Instead, he showed up in the small but crucial moments. When her car broke down, he fixed it without complaint. When life threw problems her way, he handled them calmly, taking the pressure off her shoulders. He didn't just listen, he taught her things that actually mattered, skills that made her stronger and more independent. It wasn't flashy, and it wasn't always romantic in the traditional sense, but it was dependable, solid. At the time, she might have missed the quiet gestures. She could have been distracted by the noise of other relationships filled with empty promises and dramatic displays. But those moments of practical love, they build a foundation. And now that he's gone, she feels that absence like a void, because grand gestures fade, they're moments in time, but real support, steady presence, and practical care, that lasts. It shapes how you see love. The Sigma male's way might not have made her feel butterflies every day, but it made her feel safe. It made her feel seen in the ways that truly count. She didn't just lose a man who loved her. She lost a partner who showed it by carrying the weight when she couldn't. And that kind of love, it's the kind you don't realize you needed until it's gone. Number 10. He never needed her to feel like a man. A lot of relationships revolve around this idea that one person completes the other, that a man isn't whole without a woman by his side, and a woman isn't whole without a man to lean on. But the Sigma male breaks that mold. He didn't look to her to fill gaps or fix insecurities. He wasn't searching for someone to boost his ego or validate his worth. He was already complete, standing on his own 2 feet emotionally and mentally. At the time, that felt cold, like he was distant or disconnected. She might have even wondered if he cared enough because he didn't cling or need constant reassurance. But what she didn't realize then is that emotional maturity isn't about needing, it's about being. He never made her responsible for his happiness. He never demanded she carry the weight of his identity or manhood. Instead, he carried himself with quiet confidence and self-awareness. That's why, later on, she feels the sting of his absence in a different way. Because with him she was never asked to fix or complete something broken. She wasn't his project, nor did she need to be. She was his equal, his partner, not his missing piece. And now, surrounded by men who still seek validation from women, who lean on partners to fill emotional holes, she recognizes what she truly lost. The Sigma male didn't need her to feel like a man because he already was. And that kind of independence? That's rare, that's powerful, and it leaves a hole when it's gone. Number 11. He didn't try to win her back, because he meant it when he let go. When the Sigma male decides to leave, it's not a game or a bluff, it's a full stop. No second chances thrown out like lifelines. No half-hearted calls or vague messages hoping to keep her on the hook. He walks away clean, no strings attached, no mixed signals. That kind of finality, it's brutal. Because most people leave doors open, hoping to come back or keep some control. But the Sigma, he respects both himself and her enough to make his exit absolute. When he lets go, he means it. No lingering shadows, no silent hopes for a comeback. At first she might think it's just pride or coldness. But deep down she knows it's something more. It's honesty. It's clarity. It's the rare courage to walk away when the connection isn't right, rather than dragging it out with false promises or emotional hangovers. That kind of clarity leaves a mark. She misses the man who didn't beg or negotiate his love. She misses the respect in his absence. She misses the peace that comes from knowing someone's goodbye was real. No games, no rebound, no manipulation. It's terrifying because it forces her to face the truth. No more chances, no more maybe someday. And that's why losing a Sigma male hits differently. Because when he leaves, he really leaves. And that kind of finality? It's unforgettable. In conclusion, some people won't realize what they had because they were too busy looking for what they didn't need. Sigma males are often misunderstood in the moment and deeply missed once they're gone. Why? Because they don't put on a show. They don't chase, beg, or try to fit into someone else's idea of what a man should be. They live by their own code, quiet, focused, self-reliant. And that kind of presence doesn't make noise. It makes impact. Women often regret losing a Sigma not because he was perfect, but because he was real. He didn't try to rescue her or worship her. He stood beside her as an equal, with strength that didn't need applause and loyalty that didn't need to be advertised. In a world full of emotional theatrics and half-truths, he offered something rare: clarity, respect, stability, and depth. And if you're a Sigma male reading this, don't ever doubt your value just because others didn't recognize it at the time. You are the storm and the calm. You don't follow trends. You follow truth. You don't need validation to know who you are, and that's why you're unforgettable. The truth is, being a Sigma comes with its own cost, being overlooked, misunderstood, even underestimated. But make no mistake, you are the kind of man people remember when the noise fades. So keep building your life. Stay intentional, stay selective, and let those who couldn't appreciate your depth watch from a distance as you grow even more powerful in your solitude. And to anyone watching, don't just scroll past this. If this message hits, watch the full video. Because sometimes, understanding what you lost is the beginning of understanding what you truly need. Thank you for watching. God bless you.